Good day, everyone. Today, this will be the first part of the module number two. And I will present to you a deep dive into the history and conceptual landscape of distance education. So we are going to trace its evolution from the 18th century correspondence to the modern digital platforms available to us today. So this presentation uses the foundational work of Simonson, Zivacek, and Smaldino in 2019, and also the work from Padolina, Saplala, and Westergaard in 2007. Before proceeding, we are going to focus, just to let you know, on the learning objective number one of the module number two. So we're going to trace the development of distance education in various parts of the world. So for us to understand better why distance education exists and how it changes, we must look first at the three driving force. So Padolina and colleagues mentioned in 2007 identifies this as the education provider, the learner, and the medium. And the medium links the education provider and the learner. So these three players are the main factors that influence the growth and sustainability of any distance learning initiative. So without the motivation of the provider, the desire of the learner, and a functional medium to connect them, distance education cannot occur. So the first force is the education provider. So as Padolina and colleagues mentioned in 2007, so they explained that this can be an individual teacher, also a university, or even a national government. So their primary motivation is democratization of education. So what they wanted is to reach students who are physically separated from traditional campuses. So for instance, as they mentioned, providers often aim to serve military members stationed in remote areas or professional workers whose work schedules prevent them from attending daytime lectures. So the provider's role is to bridge the access gap. The second force, as mentioned also by Padolina and colleague in 2007 rather, is the learner. So the learner, the driving factor here is the individual's intrinsic desire for knowledge or the practical need to earn a certificate that validate their skills. So this demand is massive. For example, the British Open University has seen over 2 million people enroll because they needed a system that fit their unique life circumstances. So the learner is not just a passive recipient here, but also an active seeker of flexible and educational opportunities. So the last force or driving force, as identified by Padolina and colleagues, is the medium. So the medium is being described as the bridge connecting the teacher and the student. So this medium has evolved significantly, moving from the 18th century postal mail to modern day high-speed internet. So however, a crucial point made by Padolina and colleagues in 2007 is that new technology doesn't always kill the old one. So even today, creating print materials rather and also radio are often used alongside digital platforms. So creating a landscape of different types of technologies used in combination. We're going to proceed now to the correspondence era happened from 1728 to 1840s. So the origins of distance education go back almost 3 centuries. So one of the earliest recorded examples appeared in 1978, that is in the United States of America. So that was when Caleb Phillips placed an advertisement in the Boston Gazette offering weekly shorthand lessons that will be delivered through mail. So this approach allowed learners to study remotely, which was a radical idea at that time. So according to Padolina and colleagues in 2007, so this early attempt demonstrated that education could extend beyond the classroom or the traditional classroom through a written correspondence. So a few decades later, distance education or distance learning rather, the concept also appeared in Europe. So that was in 1833. So an advertisement published in Sweden promoted the study of writing and composition through the postal system. So as noted by Simonson and colleagues in 2019, this shows that educators were beginning to recognize the potential of postal services as a tool for instruction. So enabling the students and teachers to interact even when separated by long distances. So this system also became more organized in 1843 through the work of Isaac Pitman in the United Kingdom. So he used the newly established penny post to teach shorthand. So students would receive instructional materials, complete exercises, and then they're going to send their work back to the teacher for the teacher to have it checked and be graded. So this method introduced a structured feedback process between the teacher and the learner. So which is a fundamental element still present in modern distance education system up to this day, as mentioned by Padulina and colleagues and Simonson and colleagues in 2007 and 2010. So around the same period, communication technology was also advancing rapidly. So in 1844, as we all know, Samuel Morse developed the electric telegraph. So this invention dramatically increased the speed at which information could travel across long distances. So this invention also revolutionized the communication and laid important groundwork for future educational technologies that would eventually support the distance learning. So together, during this time in correspondence era, these early developments show that distance education evolved alongside the improvements in communication systems. So this gradually shaped the flexible learning models that we use today.